goes to. Does that make sense? Sure. All right, let's talk about that just for a second. Caleb's going to be on the ground. What can I put my hands on that I could ultimately use to submit him? An arm, right? I can grab an arm, make an arm bar. That does make sense. What else can I do with my hands? Choke. I can make chokes, right? That makes sense. Okay. Can I do leg locks from here? No. No access. So in this position, I kind of have like a file. My brain pulls out the file, and I'm like, shoulder lock, straight arm bar, neck crank, a variety of lapel chokes, sleeve chokes, right? These kinds of things. Crucifix, guillotine. There's some stuff I can do from here. Make sense? So once I move to side control position, what do you see that's automatically right available? Arm. The arm, right? So we've got lots of arm locks this kind of way. We got arm locks this kind of way, right? What else can I have access to?
The head.
The head. Now, I could start thinking about choking him here, but I might have to move my body, but I could definitely set up this choke, right? Do I have legs?
No. Yes. I mean, kind of.
I have to change my position, but ultimately, if I want to work a leg, I can transition up into the knee on position, but ultimately, I really don't have good or easy access if I want to stick this side control position. Pretty cool. From the knee on position, since we talked about it, I have legs. If I've got this leg down and this leg out, I got chokes and I got arm locks if I'm in this position. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. If I'm in the north and south position, what do I probably have access to?
Your head.
Arms. I got access to the head. So can I really do a leg lock from here? No. I mean, it'd be really hard for me to try to pull a leg into some sort of position. I can touch them, but there's not much I can do leg-wise from the north and south without changing my position and advancing, okay? Doing something different. Back. All right. Lots of chokes. A couple of arm bars. This is choke heaven right here. You want to choke somebody, take the back. Right? Lots of chokes. A couple of arm bars. Now, there is a couple of opportunities where if you start from like the referee position and I take his back and I had access to this leg, there are a couple of situations I've seen where people are doing a knee bar from behind. But it's really from a throw. It's from the kind of a wrestling kind of a position. And they kind of fold them up, okay? But generally speaking, I can't get to the legs. Make sense? All right, so here's what I want my new guys to really think about. First and foremost, can you get to the top? Not an easy thing if you're brand new. If you can get to the top, the mount. You want the mount. So I'm going to show you one technique, one choke, and one arm bar from each of the top positions so that you can kind of remember. Everybody see my relationship to him. If I were in outer space, there's no top and bottom, right? There's no up and down. So kind of think of Jiu Jitsu in the same fashion. If I'm in the guard, isn't my relationship to him pretty much the same? Kind of keep that in mind, right? So, which chokes really, really work? I like to entangle. So I'm going to try to collapse this arm over if I can. Control this. Maybe I go for an arm bar. He goes to defend, right? And I palm it and I lay on here. Entangle, and I've got a head and arm choke, okay? Everybody see how that worked? This must be across his neck. This is choking that side of the neck. This is choking the opposite side of the neck. I got to get low enough to get that in there, and I've got to get tight enough so I'm ear to ear with him to make the choke. Pretty cool? Everybody see head and arm choke. This is our first choke. Right? He's up in this position. I grab, I use my legs, I collapse him, and look, there's the head and arm choke again. Doesn't it look almost the same? That is your first choke. Do it from two positions. Head and arm choke from the mount, head and arm choke from the guard. So there's some things we want to remember about the head and arm. There's a good position and a better position. Sometimes there's good, better, and best. All right, so if I'm in the mount, working with Caleb here, being up here makes this a lot harder for me to do. I can get this over. I can start digging down, but now look where I am. right? Preferably, I want to be here so I can use my head to pull his elbow to his neck. If his arm goes up here by his face, he's not getting any constriction on that side of the neck. I can still constrict on this side. Does that make sense? So I'm going to use my head to pull and dig, right? This is what I want. I want to make sure that I'm tight, all right? So those of you that were doing it this way, you might get the neck crank, but I can hear him breathing in my ear, right? I take out all that space. So this is better than way up here. This is not bad, but this is better, right? And if you can't choke him out, you're like, he's not going, he's not tapping. Move to the side. Now watch, I rotate my body in a circle. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right.
You come off now, and then you're just rotating into him.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So again, Dylan is going to immediately notice that when I'm up high, relax. When I'm up high, this doesn't affect it. He's not going to get choked, right? He's pretty good. Now I can crank his neck a little bit this way and hurt his neck, but it's not going to put him out. If he's tough, he's just going to take it, and then the next morning take a lot of ibuprofen. Okay? So watch. I pull him down here, and I tighten him up, and I go to make this. This is better, but he's still breathing. I can hear him. I move to the side. Now watch. I circle him, and it chokes him much better. I got my body out of the way. I constricted the neck. And then I made the circle this way, so it took all the space out. Pretty good?
Yes.
All right, so let's think about this from the guard position. Here's the problem. This is not the same. It's close, it's not the same, right? I clear. I drive him high so that I am low and I can get this piece. But I can't get out from under him easily. Let's turn that a little bit. Okay, so I start to clear him and I get this position. This is all right, and I've got him, but it's hard for me to move to this side. So, are you choking already?
No.
Okay, you made a noise. So when I squeeze, you okay?
Mm-hmm.
I might also stretch, and it becomes a neck crank. But if I want to choke him, I do this. You see how now I'm on his side? Kind of this is the best thing that I can get because I can't get this leg all the way over here. By the way, he could easily escape me if I did that. He can't escape me in the mount because there's nowhere for him to go. Did you feel a difference when I slipped to the side?
Yeah.
All right, so we can agree that, back on the mount please. I can crank his neck from this high position, and he's probably not going to tap, but I can torment him, right? If I get lower, I can choke him from here if I get him good, but I definitely can crank him here when I make this circle. I can really tighten up that choke. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, so if we kind of know that, the best thing to do is to get this arm as far in as we can so we can make this circular motion. So how do you do that again from the guard? Let's see it one more time. Right? I clear, pull him quickly, hook him up, shift. You guys see I'm not fully in the guard now? I'm like half guard plus. I grab this, I tighten it up. I'm holding with dynamic pressure with this leg, squeezing with my thigh, then I squeeze. Cool?
Sir.
All right, go back with your same partner, give it another try. Started training in Jiu Jitsu back in the 90s. I'm an old guy, this has been a minute. I remember a couple times I was like, this just doesn't work. Whatever the teddy was. I can't make this thing work. I tried it. I strained until I was shaky. It wasn't working. It takes some finesse, right? Some of you are pulling on the back of the head with the forearm, right? What I want you to do is shove their head into the crook of the arm so that when the arm bends, it moves there. It doesn't stop here. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. It's a finesse thing. You got to feel it and kind of be like, I don't have them tight enough. Shove them in there, right? Get it tighter. Okay. Let's talk about a couple of arm locks. Again, the commonality between mount and guard are pretty amazing, right? So I could show you Americana, but then I'd have to show you Kimura. They're slightly different. So we're going to try to stick to the basic one. Again, great for new folks that aren't really smoking hot yet in jiu-jitsu. So what we're going to do is we're going to seek an arm. A lot of times people do this. The minute I grab an arm, he starts making defense, and I'm pretty strong, but for some reason, this never works for me. I mean, the whole thing, right? Now watch. I grab the shoulder, right? I lift him up. I don't care if he locks at all, because now I can get him. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So when I'm doing this, I'm pulling on the arm and he's making defense, I can't get around him, right? I start doing this, there's a hole right there, he can just scooch out, try to make an escape. But once I lift him up and I entangle him with my legs, he can hold that all day. It's cool, right? A free hand. By the way, self-defense. Why don't I just stuff that finger in his eye, right? In jiu-jitsu, we don't do that, but we do push the face away. It reminds us that our leg has to go right there. Now, I'm not gonna hold on to this and just kind of fall away. I'm gonna pull him onto me, watch. He's off the ground. That's tight. He can hold that all he wants. This is what I want. I want this. I want this. Then I'm going to angle over towards his head, which affects the shoulder in an uncomfortable way. It's like a shoulder lock. He can't help but to let go. I rotate, the thumb must be in the up position, the elbow must be in the down position to make this work. Now, I should have him enough that I can just tap him out right here. I should have him. But if you don't, you just arch higher and higher until you make the fulcrum give you this space. Okay? I got him right here. But I could have him way up there. Got plenty of room to move. All right. He rolls over into the guard. Let's think about this. I want to entangle the arm. What did I say I wasn't good at? Grabbing this wrist. Right? He holds onto my belt. I want to get the armbar, please. I just need the armbar. That's all I want. Right? Grab. Entangle here. Now, he can hold on all day. Once I bend that wrist, his grip goes. I hold this. I palm the head, and I grab him. Now, he could fall over, but I can also get him here. If he's tight, here and here, see my knees go towards together, and I hold this, I can crank his arm right here, right? If he falls over, I roll up and it looks like the other one. Does that make sense? All right, let's see it again. I'll be in the mount. Everybody tell me, step one is what?
In the mount.
Okay, in the mount. Step two?
Wrap an arm.
Grab his shoulder. Grab shoulder. And wrist.
All right, I like it. Somebody said grab an arm. That could be any of this. What do I really want?
Shoulder.
With a cross grip. This grip wouldn't work as well. Cross grip. I go across my body. Then I lift him and I pin him. Okay? Right? The neat thing is he can move, but he can't bridge. If he bridges, he bends his back. It doesn't help him. He doesn't bridge well sideways, so I've got a good moment. I got a second. And I've got this entangled. I might decide to go here to free up my arm. Hopefully he's got some sort of defense that'll help him out. And I want to be deep. Pull him off the ground, right? I could already hook him up here. Set him up maybe for bicep cutter, right? But I'm just gonna show you the basic one. I hold, I push, I turn. Everybody sees that now I'm not facing him. This is an I formation. We look like an I. Now we look like a T, right? Now, I don't want to do this, right? People will do that. I just want to spin and I just want to get it, right? I lift him up, push, and I got him. Right there. He rolls over into the guard. It's the same thing. If I fiddle with him, let's say that I'm able to break the grip, right? I break the grip and I got this and I start fiddling with him. He's never going to let me get this foot over. It's never going to work. So once I break this grip, grab, turn, hook him up, squeeze, okay? This is the action. Okay, go. You got one from the mount, you got one from the guard. They're almost the same. All right, you want to look like a T, this is T up, okay? I showed you in the mount, but I did not point out here in the guard. We should look like an I. Our heads are pointing in the same direction. In order for me to make this thing happen, I have to turn. No hands. I can do it with my legs. As I push down with the right leg and lift up with the left, it turns me. Okay? So we got to tee up. So this is the grip that I really want. And I'm going to break his grip. Right? Now I must tee up. Kick. Control. If he falls off, that's fine. Right? He goes for defense. Right? I hook him up. Remember that I want to shoulder lock it. Right? I don't want that to hurt. Right? So I pull him up, start cranking that shoulder, and rotate it out. And I got him. Okay? Let's go back to the tee up from the guard. All right. The old way we used to learn this thing was that I would take my non-arm barring hand. Let's say I want to arm bar this side. What do you think? Right? I want my non-arm barring hand to go under the thigh, and that turns me. This hand is getting me there. That's an old way, but what do you think he does when I do this? He thinks, I feel like he's going to tee up and arm bar me.
Yeah.
Right? So once I get control of this, here, I can put my hand here and swing wide and just let go for a second. So I'm here, right? And I just swing this out. See, I'm kind of on the upper part of my back.
Yeah.
Swing, entangle, capture. Okay? Arm lock. Okay? You have to tee up. Somebody's going to do this. All right, I got my guy. Now, believe it or not, this is a legit choke. You just have to understand that the elbow is not going to be between your legs like the last time. It's down the back of your knee. You guys see how I got this?
Yes, sir.
Right? I can still lock that, but it's not this one. This is the one we're talking about. Right? Cool?
Yes, sir.
Question. Tee up. Go again. You go, I go. Be quick. Stop talking. So, lots of pretty neat options for the Kimura Lock. Okay? I'm going to tell you what, one of the hardest ways to get the Kimura Lock is from the mount. But it's there. So we got to figure out what makes the shoulder bind and makes him want to do something to relieve that pain. All right? So the first thing I'm going to tell you guys is if you grab the wrist, what's he going to do? I'm like, come on, I can't get to my Kimura Lock. My technique sucks. I hate my life. Right? So I'm going to go here. Do you guys see how I slid into that? So if I go here, he's not thinking I'm going for his hand. Now watch. I'm going to use my lat muscle to push this back. This is a lat action. Pin it to the ground. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Can I see it one more time?
Yeah, I'll come on this side. We'll turn a little bit. So again, Caleb feels me grabbing this. He grabs for defense. What are my chances of getting this thing anywheres? I'm just going to have to fight him to death. By the way, in the street, what should we do if he resists us here?
Punch him.
I just punch him, right? I would just absolutely punch him. I could also gouge an eye. I could also go for the throat. There's a lot of anything you do self-defense-y that, yeah, we consider rude in jiu-jitsu. Be honest, it's just, we don't want to tear up our friend. But we should talk about it so that we're thinking about it in combat, right? So again, he's here. I move up, and I slide this here. Now once he realizes I've got this, he's going to grab close, however he can. Now I'm like, well, that's the defense. If his grip is pretty good, what's the chance of me really doing anything with this hand? I can't really break this grip easily, particularly if this is what I really want, right? Like, I want this hand off. Don't worry about that hand. slide up to the bicep. Not the bicep, the top of the forearm. Now watch. You see how I didn't bother trying to unlock his hand? I just kicked out of it. Let's say he grabs a little higher on the pant leg. I go here, and he grabs a little higher on the pant leg. Right? We go under, and I hold on to that shoulder. And now I'm not trying to get the wrist yet, I'm just trying to get here. Now, I'm in position. Okay? If I try to just lift this, he's gonna roll slightly towards this shoulder, and it's not gonna hurt him a whole lot. Right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my foot around and I'm gonna lift his body up. Then I'm gonna pull this to the topmost position and crank him backwards. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It'll make way more sense when I show you the guard version because it'll look the same. Pretty cool?
Sure.
All right. Step one is what? Should we say swim? I like that.
Swoosh.
She made a swim noise. It sounds like swimming. She swished me right. This arm goes here. Down. He's going to grab something. He knows he's in trouble. I'm not worrying about it. I'm going to slide up the forearm and get under the shoulder. Then I'm going to lay on it, break the grip. Right? Post. Lift. Crank. Now remember, I want to take all this slack out. Right? What I'd like to do is make a line all the way across the shoulders. If it's like this, the arm moves a whole lot. Once I get it up here, it doesn't move much. I bound him. Right? And then I just crank. By the way, what if he tries to hip bump me and take the top?
Doesn't matter.
I just go ahead and break that off. Questions on that?
No, sir.
I do want to show you from the guard, but I just want you to practice this one from the mount first, okay? Just so you can see the commonality. Same problem. Do with this. This sucks, right? This is the hand that's going to do the controlling. This is the hand that's going to do the braking. I want to ultimately do this, right? So let's establish this grip. Right? I dig under, break. Now watch. I'm going to not just use my arms, I'm going to use my knee. He's going to grab his pant leg. Right? That's the defense, right? Expect him to do the defense. Everybody see that he's grabbing his pants?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay? What did I do last time? Did I hold on here?
No.
Slid up to the forearm a bit. It makes this easier. Now, I might not be strong enough. Hold on super tight, Caleb. I might not be strong enough to do this with my arms. What about my leg? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Then I pull him tight, and then I adjust it up. Now watch, if I'm still down here, it's pumping water, man. It doesn't hurt him at all. When I pull this tight, see how I do that with my hips? Everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Pin this to my body, hips, lift, and I get the Kimura Lock. Does it make sense? Who wants to see it one more time?
I'll see it.
Make sure you can see. Controlling hand, breaking hand, break the grip, push to the back, expect the defense. Right? That's natural. He's going to do that unless he's like naked and there's nothing for him to grab on. He's grabbing something. Control him with my thighs. This calf, these thighs, keeping him from doing stuff. I'm not worried that he's holding on. I'm gonna establish my grip. Get up high on the forearm. Again, if I try to pull with my arm strength, see, I'm pulling his shoulder literally. I have to pull the shoulder out of socket for this to work. But watch what I do with my leg. My leg is gonna do the work. Cool?
Yes, sir.
Pull him tight. Rotate up. It's a small move. If you're doing a bunch of this, you're going to end up breaking this bone before you dislocate the shoulder. And in Jiu Jitsu, you don't feel the bone breaking until it's broke. Whereas when I do this, Caleb's like, I feel that. Just tap the floor instead of my leg. When he feels it, when he feels it, when he feels it. Now watch. I got to crank this in a way that I apply pressure to the bone. And I've seen people get their arm broken because it didn't hurt. Do the technique right. Instead of trying to break the humerus, just destroy the rotator cuff right? Do it right. Go, you skinny cat. We're a little bit over time, I apologize, but this is important. If you'll stay, I'll give you a little bit more information that might be helpful. I still see people doing this. Don't get me wrong, you can practice that way. There's nothing wrong with practicing that way. It's just never gonna happen in real life, right? If I put my hands and I would go for his eyes, maybe I could do that because he's gonna be distracted, but he's never gonna let me do this. That's the first thing. What should I do instead of this? Move in, pull this back, and then set it to the ground. He's probably gonna try to grab something, right? It's not the end of the world. I move up the arm slightly and I entangle, and I go ahead and break that grip by not moving his arm, but by moving the whatever he's gripped onto, right? I break that away. Now, should I try to make the shoulder lock from here?
No.
What should I do?
Post.
Post with the right leg, and I lift his body up. Now, I see a lot of people doing some other things. They're not necessarily wrong, but this particular technique works for one really good reason. I can immobilize his shoulder. Remember when I said immobilize? I immobilize the shoulder. If you're doing a whole bunch of this, you don't have him immobilized. This is immobilized. Posture. See all that space between my body? None of that's there. This is immobilized. Okay? Now, once I'm here, can you feel already it's tight? It's just a little bit of motion, and he'll tap. I don't have to try to get this, and he's wiggling, and this is moving all around. This is a flawed technique. Okay? Now, in the event that you end up with a different grip, right? He ends up on his side, and you end up over here. You've changed the technique almost completely. It's not that it's bad. But you still need to not be doing this. Look at all the space. It's this. I'm going to try to pull the arm out of the socket this way. I want the humerus to be a complete line straight with his shoulder up to his other shoulder. Now a small motion, and it works. It's a small motion. If you do it right, you attack the joint in the tendons, you make that painful. This is trying to really attack the whole arm, and he's going to resist until you probably break the humerus. It'll take a lot more effort. If you're doing it to somebody way bigger with a big bone, you might not have the strength to break the bone, but you can tear up the rotator cuff pretty easy if you do it right. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
I'm not against sitting on his head. A lot of people do it this way. This is great, but this is still wrong. It's this. My posture, my back, a lot of strength here. Small motion. Pretty cool?
Yes, sir.
Questions?
Yes, sir.
Who needs one more time to train before we quit? All right, one more time, get with your partner, make that work.